had the mulligan, so he just didn't want to sit around and try to get on the library plan. Just uses it for mana to accelerate to a Herdnar. And Shingu Kurihara has taken game 3. He's now up 2-1 versus Irvin Tormos.
Wow, that was very quick.
It was.
Yeah, it's not how that match was looking like it was going to go. There's a synchronous sliver in. It sounds like Irvin Tormos is going back and forth on his anti-white cards, or cards that can't be used against white
It's a tricky match for him.
But there are definitely morphs and synchronous slivers and things like that that are in Kurihara's deck.
So Kenji trading damage here. Ooh, there's Might Sliver, and looks like Willie's going to have to play defense. Thalachill Dweller came down, pumped up the Herdnar, holds off the Dryad. Now what? There's a 4-4 on the other side. Kenji can play a guy and serve with Herdnar.
It's not a matter of playing defense. He needs green to Forest Walk with the Dryad.
Right.
He certainly doesn't want to trade that Dryad. That's his path to victory.
Nope, the wall forced him to play defense. And Kenji forced to shift the turn.
No, he was just checking cards in hand.
Oh, sorry. Okay, there's Dead Gone. Dispatches the Dryad.
And then he shifts the turn.
Yeah. Kenji doesn't really want to attack into a 4-4 Might Sliver. Is that Deep Walker?
Hard cast a Deep Walker. Alternate casting cost.
Oh, there's the Wood Readers. Kenji draws a couple extra cards.
How close is he to 7?
Sort of undone his mulligan. He's
not close to 7. You gonna send in the Herdnar?
I think I would.
You'd be willing to trade it with the Might
I
Sliver?
would trade it with Might Sliver, absolutely.
Yeah.
And Kenji comes to the
agrees
same
with you.
conclusion. And that's exactly what happens. Meanwhile, back on the Irvin Tormos match, Tormos is playing lots of games with the sideboard. Bruce, can you turn up Rich's mic?
Sounds like we're going to be able to go to Rich for a quick
Yeah,
update.
Rich has been watching him down there. Rich, what's the latest on Irvin Tormos and his battle with his sideboard?
Well, yeah, he's been looking at his sideboard every game, trying to work out what he can do with all these dead white cards. He has a green sideboard that he can bring in if he really wants. He hasn't really wanted, but now down 2-1. I guess he thinks it's worth a punt. He takes out the blue.
Oh, he's pulled the trigger on the green
he's
plan.
Pulled the trigger on the green plan. So you're going to see in game 4, Jasmine Boreal, a pair of Thrill of the Hunts, which are obviously nice cards. And I think he's brought in an Ashket Bear. So, you know, when you're taking out blue flies for Ashket Bear, anyway, that's what he's trying for game 4.
Interesting. Sukata Lancer for Kenji. That can attack into Deep Walker.
Offering another trade.
Sure.
Just treating his creatures like removal spells at this point.
Sure. Clear a path for the others. He's up a card from the.
We're going to see a White Mane Lion from Willie here.
We might. We're going to see a strength of numbers from Kenji. Or Thrill of the Hunt.
Thrill of the Hunt.
Thrill of the Hunt. And
Yeah,
no White Mane
no
Lion.
White Mane
So Kenji has taken control of the board. 4 monsters to 0 at this point. Willie Edel just does not have the body language of somebody who's going to win this game. I mean, he's studying.
He doesn't really, I mean, the times we've seen him in the top 8, he doesn't really seem to have that confidence for the big game yet, despite all of his experience with it now. We talked a lot about his body language when we were watching the match with Jan Moritz Merkel in Kobe, where his body language was very kind of slumped, and, you know, Jan Moritz was very aggressive.
True. Well, we've got the first sighting of Rich Hohen in the top 8 in quite some time. Hohen's player card comes out from the Thalachill Dweller. Meanwhile, Phantom Worm on Willie Edel's side of the board, which we talked about, there's no good answer for that in Kenji Samura's deck. I think he just starts smashing into it.
Well, Utopia Val's pretty good.
Never mind. There's the one good answer, Utopia Val, and Crunch. 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that 6 damage? 5 damage. 3 1-power guys and a 2-power guy, but that still takes away a third of Willie's life total.
I think Willie's holding Utopia Val, but he doesn't like any of these guys enough to use it on.
Sounds like Tormos changed his mind again at the last minute. Took the green cards out again, went back to the blue plan. Is that Bailoff?
That is a Bailoff.
Bailoff for Willie Edel, trying to stem the bleeding. We're hitting the point, though,
where
Kenji can just let it kill a guy.
Guys, yeah.
I would send the team here, right?
Yeah, there's no good crackback for Willie. Did Willie have any sideboard removal?
Oh, there's the Dusk Wasp. Kenji does not send.
That might draw the Utopia Vow.
Yeah, I would think so. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Deadwood Tree Folk.
Interesting.
Get back Wormwood Dryad.
Sure.
Maybe. Thinking about his life total, which is pretty slim at this point. Can he afford to activate it very often? Looks like he's doing some math there, scratching on the board. And instead goes with the Might Sliver. And then
there's the
does
Utopia
have the Utopia Vow, sure.
So shuts off the 3/3 flyer, plays another blocker. Suddenly the board looks pretty gummed up. Kenji's not out of gas yet, though. Scarwood Tree Folk.
I mean, it's unleaded gas, though.
And here comes the Might Sliver. So Willie Edel's side of the board right now.
Dryad.
He has a Yavimaya Dryad. He has a Bailoff and a Might Sliver. Deadwood Tree Folk is about to give him another guy back from the bin. Kenji has lined up the less exciting monsters, but there are more of them.
If he can draw a white main land, he does some pretty exciting stuff. Not a player in a position to attack.
No. Edel managed to gum the board up pretty good, and he's got the Forest Walker, so.
All right, suspended Tuka Shaman. Again, either of these guys draw, well, Willie's not going to win on a strength of numbers anytime soon, but Kenji's really close to being able to do it.
I mean, Willie does have the Force Walker. The Dryad can start pecking away.
Sure.
He's got a 5/5, a 4/4. Nantuko Shaman resolves.
Kenji goes 2 cards.
Yeah, a couple more cards. Comes up with another Nantuko Shaman. Oh, sounds like Urban Tormos has been forced to take multiple mulligans. Game 4 not looking good for him. Treefolk gets back. What did he take?
So he took the Viscera Deepwalker.
Interesting.
Would you look for? Would you have looked at the Wormwood Dryad there?
Definitely would have thought about it. I think though that the 2/3 blocker actually is the right call here. I mean, he's in danger of getting overwhelmed. He needs. I mean, just losing the Treefolk off the board. Kind of needed to replace it with somebody who could block.
Got a second Richie Hohen token. Got a second
second
card
Shaman.
this turn. Shaman.
Kenji's still at 13. Not in imminent danger, but he does need to come up with a way to start busting through for damage. Well, there's Orchid's Cannonade. That stops the Forest Walker. Kenji draws yet another card. 10 apiece. The 3 biggest creatures are on Willie Edel's side of the board, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 creatures on Kenji's side.
Although one of them is Utopia Vow, right?
Sukata Lancer gets in there.
An interesting attack.
Pretty much claiming to have a combat trick.
Well, he can flashback Thrill of the Hunt. He's Utopia Vow.
Oh, Utopia Vow gets into white. That's
Tuco
hilarious. So the Lancer's effectively a 3/4?
3/4 flanker, yep.
It still dies to Baloth, and Edel figures that out. Yeah, I think Kenji had a burn spell. Yeah, Firemaw Kavu.
Firemaw Kavu.
Makes sense.
So Baloth was flanked down to a 4/4, took 2 damage.
So Kenji has been digging. Shaman.
He's just going to let the Kavu go, I think, and kill the
Might
Sliver and just crack for the win, I think.
Yeah, Kenji's deck just looks better. I mean, push comes to shove. Kenji's just got more powerful cards in his deck. He's playing them well. He's got some nice velocity, was able to dig, to come up with the Firemaw Kavu. I mean, Willie managed to stabilize the board. He sort of used the resources at his disposal as well as he could. I think his draft went south. And Kenji, unlike Kenji, Willie never really found the plan to rescue a draft that wasn't going in the right direction. There's the handshake. So Kenji Sumura wins. Kenji is through to the semifinals.
Exciting match between Mike Ron and
he'll be taking on Mike Ron. So it'll be Kenji Sumura versus Atron in the one semifinal, and yet another result. Takuya Usawa wins 3-0. So we're almost all done here in the quarterfinals. We'll try to get our cameras over to table C, catch the end of the match between Irvin Tormos and Shingu Kurihara. Kurihara leads that 2-1, and Tormos has been fighting his sideboard. Rumor has it he had to take 2 mulligans in this 4th game, so we may be just about done. And it may be a very Japanese-flavored semifinal.
We've already got 2 Japanese players through to the semis.
Will we get a third? Is Shingu Kurihara next? The players in Tokyo already know this guy. They have a lot of respect for his ability as a Magic player. Irvin Tormos extends the hand.
Wow.
So there you go. Shingu Kurihara wins 3-1. It'll be Kurihara versus Usawa, and it'll be Sumura versus Atron.
And an early lunch today.
And it will be, indeed, an early lunch today. So, wow. 3 matches just ending all of a sudden. 3-1, 3-1, 3-0, 3-1. Those are your quarterfinals.
Who do you like in the semis?
Who do you like in the semis?
Kenji versus Roan is really tough. I really like Roan's deck. But, Kenji is just Kenji.
But it really seems like we're set up to do Kenji Sumura versus Takuya Usawa. The 2 of them ran the table in day 1. The 2 of them ran to the top of the Swiss in day 2, and they just stayed there. They were the first 2 to clinch. They were playing it out in the end, trying to help their buddies get into the top 8. Those 2, I think, are this feels like it's their tournament.
I gotta tell you, I like Kurihara.
Yeah,
I do. I think his White Mane Lions are going to prove a little too tricky for the removal in Usawa's deck. I think he can sit back on his White Mane Lions and do some tricky stuff.
Okay. I like Usawa there. You like Kurihara. And now Kenji versus Atron.
You know what? I'm going to go jingoistic. I'm going to pick the American. I like Brian Kowal. I like Mike Roan. I like Bob Marr. I'll go with the US of A.
I think this might be Kenji's tournament.
It's hard to go against Kenji, but I'm gonna go with Tromp the Domains for the win.
Kenji's deck is just fine. Atron's he's got a couple more rares in it, but I think Kenji's deck is just fine. Kenji's an awesome player. I mean, Mike's no slouch, so should be pretty interesting set of semifinals.
I think both matches are going to be very exciting.
That'll be fun. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a lunch break. These are the semifinals will happen after lunch. The lunch breaks this year are set up to be Hall of Fame previews.
Oh, exciting.
So Kai Bude will be dispatching someone in one of his 7 Pro Tour wins. I don't know which one it is. I think it's a Chicago, but with Kai, that doesn't even narrow it down. He won multiple Pro Tour Chicagos. So, yeah, we've got Kai set up on the lunchtime break. Okay. I keep wondering, are they going to work me in?
Are you on video?
I've got the video. I don't know if Greg has it digitized, but Hall of Fame this year, the class is crazy.
It's really exciting. I mean, Ben Rubin is clearly
trying to make a case.
Trying to make a case for himself.
Good point. That was one of the favorite stories this weekend. Ben Rubin, his flight was delayed from San Francisco to San Diego. He gets to San Diego, or other way, San Diego to San Francisco.
His flight was delayed every leg
right.
of the journey.
He gets to San Francisco late, and he can't. And he missed his flight to Frankfurt. He's trying to figure out, how do I get there? He managed to get a flight to London Heathrow, but if you've been paying attention to the news, there was a blizzard in England this week. They haven't had that much snow in forever. So he gets to Heathrow late. His flight to Frankfurt is delayed. It does manage eventually to get out, but by the time he gets to Frankfurt, it's midnight Thursday night, the day before the Pro Tour.
With no trains and no planes.
No way to get to Geneva other than hail a taxi. So he gets into a taxi. He convinces the taxi driver, please drive me 600 kilometers to Geneva. And the taxi driver's up
without
for
a
it.
passport.
Yeah, they get to the border and realize the taxi driver does not have a passport. Ben manages to talk his way through that, spends more on the taxi fare than he did on his airplane ticket, all to get here. And then, you know what? He was in contention to win this Pro Tour all the way up until the next to last round.
Absolutely.
He went 5-1-1 on day one. He was on X3-1, finished solidly in the money. I think 30th, something around there.
Yeah, he had a great finish.
Great performance for Ben Rubin. And yeah, I mean, I think
even more important than that to me was just seeing how much he was enjoying playing Magic and how happy he was. I mean, Ben's really one of the great players of the game, and it's always exciting to see those players come back with a passion for what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, 10 years
really
later,
exciting.
he just really enjoys playing Magic.
You can't argue with his passion.
It's true. It's absolutely true.
Taxi ride that costs more than his airplane.
But is Ben actually, does he make the Hall of Fame this year?
He's in the argument, for sure.
Oh, clearly. There's 7 guys. There's 7 guys that almost everyone has as first ballot worthy, but there's only 5 spots.
I think Justin Gary has shown himself to be in that argument. There's a couple of other players. Chris Bakula is still in that argument.
Sure.
I think there's probably 10 players you can make a case for. There's 7 people who just come on in this ballot, though.
Right.
There's 7 players just on this ballot who all have just ridiculous resumes and ridiculous contributions and tremendous support in different areas of the world and in different stratas of the game.
So that's certainly going to be an interesting sort of sub-theme to follow throughout the season.
Absolutely.
A couple that, Tsuyoshi Fujita is one of the 7 as well. Also played this tournament.
I have Fujita as the 3rd player in
Fair.
the Hall of Fame on my ballot, for sure.
I could totally see it. But he's another guy who's still active and contributing.
Yes. And could easily just post 1 or 2 top 8s in a season that has a couple of constructed events upcoming.
It's true. The other interesting thing going on here in Geneva was got to be the ski trip. I mean, I
got to tell you, I took a little grief about not going on that trip, and I'm looking at the video for that.
Yeah.
And watching, you've never skied before.
No,
That's kind of part of my qualm. I really regret it now.
Oh, all right.
I really regret not going. It looks like everyone had a lot of fun.
It was definitely a lot of fun.
Granted, I had a column I had to do, but
I mean, it's the kind of opportunity. When else are you going to get the chance to go to the Swiss Alps and see? I mean, it was gorgeous. We turned this one corner on the bus, and we're driving up on the bus, and it's raining. And you're kind of like skiing in the rain. That just sounded. I'm thinking, we're going up. There should be some point where the rain turns to snow, right? And literally, we turned a corner, and it was just like a switch went over, and all of a sudden, everything was white. It was literally just you could see exactly when we hit the altitude. Suddenly everything was white, and that was just awesome. I mean, there's snow, everything's gorgeous. That was it was an awesome trip.
Brazilian players saw snow for the first time, and that's
pretty cool.
That to me is very amazing.
Yeah, very cool. So we've got this. We've actually got a ski trip video queued up. We've got that in the lunch trip in the lunch vacation as well. So it's going to be a fun day. Still got a lot of Magic left to be played. We're going to go take a lunch break now. Okay. We're going to let you guys watch watch Kai at the height of his powers. Check out the ski trip. And
if the forums are up, tell us who you like in these semifinal matches. I don't doubt for a second that every one of you is going to pick Kenji. But, let us know who you think is going to win.
So we'll be back after lunch. Stay tuned. For Brian David Marshall, this is Randy Bueller. We will see you momentarily.
How cool is this? When Wizards took the Pro Tour to Honolulu last year, every